Our State of the U.S. segment tonight, a New Jersey public school is promoting the Koran to students while simultaneously censoring the Bible. New Jersey public schools have a policy of prohibiting proselytizing religion in the classroom. However, this policy was seemingly ignored when it came to teaching 7th grade students about Islam. But when two mothers spoke up about this at a Board of Education meeting, they were smeared as bigots. With me now are these two mothers, Nancy Gayer and Libby Hilsenrath, parents of kids at Chatham Middle School in New Jersey. Libby, Nancy, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, tell me exactly what happened here. So this is a suburb of New Jersey, a public school. Your children attend the middle school there. There's curriculum. First of all, what class is this that they're talking about different religions?
This is a class, it's called World Cultures and Geography. And in this particular unit, they're studying the Middle East and North Africa.
So when it comes to different units, though, are they taught about Christianity? Or they talk about Judea? Are they talking about different religions here? Or are they just talking about Islam?
What I can tell you is the two units they studied prior to the Middle East and North Africa were Latin America, North America, and Europe. And in those units, they did not study any religion. When they came to the Middle East and North Africa, they had a couple days on Islam, a 20-point PowerPoint presentation, 2 videos on Islam, 5 pages of homework where they had to write down and be tested on the 5 pillars of Islam.
All right, and Nancy, let me turn to you for a second. I mean, I'm pretty open about the fact that I'm a practicing Catholic. I'm open about that on this show, but I went to public college. I took comparative religion classes. I mean, we had units on different religions here. I remember learning, about all kinds of different things. I mean, what's the problem with having a unit on Islam?
There's no problem. The problem is when it's just Islam and no other religions. To take the time that they took studying this, a little over 3 days with the study of Islam and going over the PowerPoint presentation, 2 videos. They had to watch 2 videos and the homework. And it's just, there's no balance. It's all of one and none of the other.
Right, and I think this could pretty easily be compared here. I mean, when they were in the Christianity module here, did they have to memorize the 10 Commandments?
That's funny. No, actually, my son put together a presentation and he had a short Bible verse in it and they shot it down. The teacher said that belongs in Sunday school. Well, comparatively, this lesson belongs in a mosque. I mean, you're teaching the doctrine of Islam, how to pray, when to pray, how many times, to go to Mecca. And it's just too much of one thing.
Right. No, that's that part. That's the part that's incredible to me here, that they told your son that a Bible verse belonged only in Sunday school. I mean, that's completely counter to what freedom of religion and religious practice means in our nation. It doesn't mean just inside your own church or just inside your own home here. How did your son react to that?
Well, he was in 3rd grade and he's my first, so I sort of went to the teacher. I spoke to her about this presentation and said, it was student initiated. So really by law, there's no problem there. She said, too much God, too much religion. So I took it to the vice principal and he too said it's proselytizing. Now, mind you, the way I understand proselytizing, that's when you're interrupting a class, when you're commanding people to pray or, talking about that particular doctrine. And all he mentioned was a verse that said, lending to the poor is lending to the Lord. And it was a part of a fundraiser. So they said, too much religion, too much God belongs in Sunday school. So I took it to the superintendent. And then the superintendent said, well, really, it's not allowed. We haven't done anything to harm his First Amendment rights. We're going to have our board attorney look at this. And after that, I really felt like, okay, we're going to just step back and see what happens. So We just sort of said, okay, thank you.
Right. No, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, I'll be interested to see what the attorney says, because it seems like it doesn't even take a lawyer to see that his First Amendment rights were infringed here. I mean, it's a public school. It's supposed to be inclusive of every religion. I totally understand that they don't want to pick and choose one religion to teach as teachers, because there are so many different religions represented in the students. But to tell one student that they can't incorporate their basic religious philosophy into the presentation, I mean, that seems to me a terrible violation.
Yeah, that's what really struck me when he came home with the 5-page homework assignment. And the first thing was, Allah is the one true God and Muhammad is his messenger. And I thought, we couldn't even put a short Bible verse about giving to the poor, yet this is the homework that he's coming home with. So that really upset me. I went to the Board of Education. I stood before them. I mentioned the incident 3 years ago. And again, they were like, well, we'll talk about it during a curricular meeting. But those meetings aren't open to parents, so we're not privy to what they're talking about. We can only go to the Board of Ed, stand before them for 2 minutes, and that's it.
Right, and that's another thing that's incredible to me, that parents aren't even incorporated into the curriculum that's taught to their students. Libby, let me ask you, I mean, you guys have been called bigots, you've been called xenophobes from this. Who is opposing this? Is this fellow parents? Is this people in your community? Is this the Board of Education? Talk to me about that.
This is, and the day after the Board of Education meeting, there was an op-ed written by a community member that labeled us as, labeled what we did as veiled bigotry. And then just on Facebook, social media, it just went from there. Islamophobes, xenophobes, and just some names
Right.
I don't even want to use on.
I think
Right.
my favorite quote, not to give the person any credit, but we climbed a big mountain of ignorance and set up a tent there. I mean, it was just so beyond. It was really beyond.
I mean,
I think they missed the point, really, which was we were trying to say, if you're going to teach one, then teach all. And but we were
right. No,
just
and I
labeled
think that's
as
fair.
closed-minded.
Right. That was my first reaction when I read this story. Is I don't have a problem necessarily with the tenets of Islam being taught when you're doing a comparative religion course, but do it equally, or else that's a double standard. And that to me is more indoctrination than including a Bible verse in a presentation when you're talking about the poor. Libby, Nancy, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about this. If you have any updates, come back anytime. It was great to talk to you.